Okay, hello, 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 hello. Can you let me know if you can all see me? Not see me, but, see the screen, see and hear me. Just waiting for it all to kick in. Okay, hello, hello, hello. Me. Second playthrough, lovely. Fantastic, all right. So, by all accounts, you should be able to hear and see me now. This is a wee chill stream today. We're going to be doing some research. 80% of this is going to be watching videos or reading stuff. That's all this is going to be. Good to see you, Marcus. This is the tricky bit, I'm afraid. Until I actually start writing, then that's the tricky bit. But you'll see that we've just got one massive Word document here with all sorts of thoughts and notes and bloody nonsense. Just so that we are all on the same page and just so you're following along with me. In the background, as I mentioned a couple of times, I've read a couple of books. Let's go grab them here, 2 secs. So I've got a few books in front of me. I've got a cracking one called Bioshock and Philosophy, which is edited by Luke Cuddy. It's basically just a collection of essays about the Shock series. There's really nothing in here about System Shock. I just really enjoyed reading it. Then I've also got Transhumanism, The History of a Dangerous Idea by David Livingstone, which has been not fun to read. It's a bad book. David Livingstone, not a big fan of David Livingstone. The one that I've referenced a few times, Yuval Noah Harari, which is Homo Deus, A Brief History of Tomorrow. Grab my other ones, 2 secs. We got Dr. Stephen Novella, The Skeptic's Guide to the Future. I've also got Life 3.0 by Max Tegmark. And that's currently it for now. There's some other stuff I've been kind of like squirreling away with in the background. It's kind of bouncing off of stuff that I had to study for the Soma videos. So we got Soul Machine by George McCarry, Being You by Anil Seth, which is a fucking great book, and I cannot recommend it enough if you want to go away and just look into stuff about how consciousness works from a neuroscience point of view. Really interesting. I have reread I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream because it's clearly, it has a lot to say about rogue AIs, etc. That's fiction. And a couple of others as well. And over the course of that time, I have taken a few notes, scribbled them inside the books, and just before the stream started, just because, again, I don't think it would be that interesting for you to see me transcribe anything, I have basically added all of my thoughts into this document. So you're going to see some absolute nonsense in here, just questions I was asking while I was thinking about it, anything to kind of bounce off of. A lot of this is based around transhumanism. We're not really going to be getting into transhumanism stuff today. We might, but probably what we're going to do is start with looking at game stuff. So I don't really know where to begin. Matt Smith says, I like reading Max Tegmark. Yeah. Max Tegmark's one's really good. The Life 3.0, I find that really interesting. I really like... Oh, I've just thingied it. So I got that. I've got a paperback version of that, but I've been listening to that as an audiobook in the background. But Max Tegmark, really good book. Interesting to see kind of what he predicts and what he thinks about. So I'm just going to separate these just a moment. So these are just kind of questions I've been asking, and some of this might not make it into the video at all, which is totally fine. That always happens. Some stuff I might write about and then cut because I think actually I'm kind of pivoting too far away from talking about the game. As always, any research, we're trying to tie it back to System Shock and figuring out what System Shock is trying to say. The conclusion I've come to while we were playing and while I was making notes is System Shock is both a celebration of transhumanism, but it's also a clear marker, a warning of the dangers to come in that sort of world. Oh, you've done the 2-day hangover, Krakatoa. Ah, damn! I don't envy you. I've bounced back quite a lot, I think. Calling something a dangerous idea in itself is a dangerous practice. See, I agree with you, Alfir, absolutely. But speaking as somebody who said that in the world of Soma, the collective, not the collective, continuous consciousness idea was quite dangerous, and in the world of Soma it is because it results in a dozen unnecessary suicides. Yeah, so I agree with you, but I'm guilty of that fallacy myself in some of the stuff I write. But yeah, so I don't really know where to start. This is kind of the maybe the interesting bit for some of you, in the sense of like where do we begin? So I don't really have a process for this, I'm afraid. I think an easy way to start would just be, let's just maybe look at a couple of reviews. I think somebody said, and I'm not going to watch them all. This isn't just going to be me silently watching anything. I'm just going to skip through and just kind of take a few notes as we go if anything jumps out as interesting. One of you, I can't remember who it was, said that Mandalore did a really good System Shock review. I haven't watched any of these, so I'd be curious to know. Now, we're not watching critiques. I think that's key for me to say. I know the Nth review did one, but we're not going to. We're not doing full-blown critiques, because my fear would be that I, even accidentally start copying some of their through lines, and that takes some of the fun out of it, to be frank. So, what we got here? So Mandalore Gaming talking about System Shock Enhanced Edition. This is G-Man Lives. Mandalore talking about System Shock 2 and System Shock Enhanced Edition. See, I'm looking for ones on the remake. See, yeah, Nth review. I started this ages ago, and then I decided I was going to do a System Shock video, and I decided against it. Sheriff Adacola, just found your channel. Just want to say that I love the content. You're a godsend for me getting through my workday. No worries. Thanks for watching. I can't seem to find Mandalore's remake review, because it's the remake that I'm immediately curious about. And then I want to find some written reviews of the original System Shock when it came out. So let's just start with a standard one, shall we? IGN. What did IGN say out of curiosity about System Shock? Oh my god, it's 11 minutes? Jesus, they said a lot. Cool, okay. So yeah, let's turn it up a bit. Actually, I'll probably get my headphones plugged in. No, I won't. I'll just mute as we go. I'm willing to. I really like Nth Review's videos. If you don't watch Nth Review, I recommend it. I'm going to be avoiding Nth Review because I haven't watched that video in its entirety. I'll treat myself. I'll watch that once I've done my video. I don't want to spoil myself for it. I don't think Mandalore did the remake yet. Ah, fair enough, Phil. Fair enough.
Transporting the prisoner from New Atlantis.
So let's see what they have to say.
What's our destination?
Trapped in a hell he helped make, a lone hacker aboard a space station far from home sneaks and fights his way through horrible mutants and killer robots in order to take down the monstrous artificial intelligence behind it all. Shodan, one of the all-time great gaming villains. System Shock pioneered so many first-person shooter concepts back in 1994 that now feel fundamental, simultaneously paving the way for the entire immersive sim genre. Night Dive Studios has done masterful work with this 2023 remake, taking a fantastic game that the years have made hard to play and updating it with modern conveniences that will let it be enjoyed for decades to come. Nominally a shooter, System Shock is more about exploring the labyrinth that is the Trioptimum Corporation's Citadel space station than any combat that takes place within it. Your hacker and their military-grade neural implant are responsible for the significantly degraded situation here, having disabled the AI
I've noted that
ethical limitations.
Sorry, very quickly. Sorry, Martin Smith says, I can also recommend Stuart Russell's Human Compatible. I don't know it, but I've taken note of it. And I'll see if I can order it. And I'll even just in the background while I'm writing, I'll read it. The whole point of this, again, is that I find this stuff interesting. Not everything I'm reading, not everything I'm researching is for the video. Some of it is just for me. Hey, Chrissy, thanks for joining.
I am drunk with this vision. God. The title suits me well.
So, naturally, Shodan has chopped everyone into bits and stitched them back together as horrible cyborgs, made her own strain of a world-ending mutagenic virus complete with freaky mutants, and now wants to export her godlike divinity to Earth proper. We love Shodan for this, because she's just so delightfully unnerving while she does it.
Will turn all earthly life into a festering pile of pestilent mutations.
Evil artificial intelligences can often be depicted as cold, calculating super geniuses. Shodan isn't that. Shodan is completely, transparently bonkers, inflicted with the delusion that she is a god and delightfully obsessed with both herself and her often extremely bad plans.
So I don't know if I agree with that. The idea that Shodan is characterized as being bonkers. Like, yes, she's extra. Happy New Year, Hakai. Phil, you just said, I just remembered that for ages System Shock got referred to as Die Hard on a space station. I still can't decide if that's succinct or lazy. I love that. I think that's really fun. And I also think it's kind of accurate. But to go back to this, so, I mean, maybe I'm alone in this, but I don't think she's bonkers. She has a concrete plan and a reason for thinking the way that she does, right? Again, I'm not saying I'm going to be responding to any of this in the critique, but it's just going to help me kind of start to solidify some of my own feelings about the game. Like, exactly, she's a super genius, she's just a very arrogant one. Yeah, technically, she's correct. Like, not the experimenting, releasing the mutagen, none of that. I'm not saying I'm Team Shodan. What I'm saying is that a creation like this, who knows everything and can experience all things at once, I think that she has a goal that she's trying to reach. And I also don't think she's wrong in assuming that she's God. Like, in this context, if you imagine just, you know, the Judeo-Christian God or whatever God you believe in, just doesn't exist in this world. Like, she technically is God. She is a being that is much higher up than us. And she also understands her own limitations, right? She understands that because she can think faster than us, because she's plugged into the Citadel station, because she's quite literally everything and everywhere on the station, she needs the cyborgs to do her manual labor for her because she can't technically touch the real world because she exists in cyberspace. And that's why she's creating cyborgs. She's doing that to perfect humanity. She thinks that humanity is millions of years behind. And I'm not saying that she's doing it because she wants to save us or anything like that. This is not a WoW situation from Soma. But, like, I think that she does despise humanity. She calls us insects. She thinks we're disgusting. And she wants to elevate us to a different plane of being. And whether or not you agree with that is a different question. But I don't think she's bonkers. I don't think I would call her bonkers. Greg Geiger says, I think she's gone mad, but she's self-aware. Fair, yeah. Phil says, I don't think she's mad at all. She's just got a different perspective on things because you removed her ethical restraints. Exactly, Phil. And ultimately, what are our own personal ethical restraints but societal constructs? You know? You jump into a parallel universe. Who knows? Maybe robbing someone is looked at as a morally good and virtuous act. One of the new logs in System Shock also shows that she picks the idea of God from an Eastern religion, so this God might be different from the Christian version. Yeah, totally. Like, I'm not saying that she believes herself to be, you know, Christ, but she is like, I am God. Like, the definition of God is me. And we're going to look at this when we get to, this is perfect. This is the sort of stuff I want to be doing because we're falling down rabbit holes, and this is exactly what I want. So if I look into, I'll bring this on screen in a second. We're actually already going to jump into transhumanism then, because transhumanism end goal, maybe that gives us something. Let me bring this up. The end goal of most transhumanists is to transcend mortality through technology. So if I find, let me go back to some of my notes. I should probably order these actually. That might be what we do in the stream is I start ordering stuff. But one of the things I looked into when I was reading flagged, right, all of this is my miscellaneous stuff. Perfect. So basically the regeneration base, essentially that's all game stuff. Essentially, let's find a manifesto. Let's find a manifesto. That might be better. Because there is a transhumanist manifesto online. And I think I have the name of the one that I found that looked quite interesting. David Pierce, Nick Bostrom. These are all guys I want to go away and look into. Mark Derry. Look up Transhumanism Manifesto. Damn it, did I not list which one I liked? There's an interesting one. Oh, Humanity Plus has one. This is ideal. Whoops. What? Why is Humanity Plus coming up with Why can't I open the Humanity Plus website? That seems bad. Alienated makes a really good point here. Sorry, I'm just jumping back to you all. Hey, Sumbro, Happy New Year to you too. So Alienated points out, I mean, it's said that on Citadel Station they want to take experimentation and science beyond morality and ethics, which is in a way what Shodan's trying to do. Yeah, totally. You know, the whole thing we learned in the manual was that Trioptimum are trying to remove themselves from the boundaries of morals and ethics as they're taught on Earth. Yeah, that's not good, is it? Bloody virus is coming up. Let me try it one more time. Yeah, no, it is not letting me go on that website. Jesus, Humanity Plus got hacked. Okay. Let's see Natasha Vita Moore. I'll bring these on screen in a second. I'm just seeing what I can find. Oh, this is an interesting one. Okay. Let me find out who she is first. What's her angle? What's she coming from? So she is a transhumanist. She founded a center for transhumanism. Cool, okay. Well, here we go. Transhumanist Manifesto. 2020 as well. This is relatively recent. First version 1983, second version 1998, third version 2008, and now we've got a fourth version. Yeah, okay, so it's got links to Renaissance and Enlightenment. I know this all already. Don't worry about any of that. Transhumanism is also linked to the philosophy of humanism, with emphasis on human needs and seeking rational ways of solving human problems. Humanism is known as a secular philosophy focused on opposing beliefs, practices, and rituals related to divine or supernatural power. So to give you a bit of insight into me, we didn't do a religious wedding, for example. We did a humanist wedding. But I don't go to like a humanist church or anything. Oh, so it flagged it for you too, Alfie. Right, okay, we'll have to stay. That's annoying, because I wanted to learn as much as possible about Humanity Plus, because that's one of the OGs, I believe, as far as like an organization is concerned. So, boom, 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 boom. Humanism is a secular philosophy focused on opposing beliefs, practices, and rituals related to divine or supernatural power. Alternatively, transhumanism is focused on the nature of reality, existence, and ethics. While understanding that there is room for the unknown as new discoveries are made and challenged. Oh, I see, okay. Understanding there is room for the unknown as new discoveries are made and challenged. Okay, so there is no endpoint. This is the point I was making earlier on, a couple of streams ago. In short, transhumanism is focused on today and the future of humanity with an emphasis on longevity. The important logic here is that without a healthy environment, there cannot be healthy longevity. Humanity exists within a system, and all parts of the system are relevant and interrelated. Transhumanism advocates for a more humanitarian and humane humanity. I would rather be a transhuman than a cyborg. We're going to get to that in a minute. That's interesting. Yeah, here's the statement. This is what I found. So 1983. This is their statement. This is, for those of you who have watched the Bioshock video or know anything about objectivism, in Atlas Shrugged, Ayn Rand's whole thing. Hey, Happy New Year, Tevya. Happy New Year, Stephanie. Thanks for being here. So with objectivism, for example, you have they've got their mantra, their statement, which is... let me get it up so I'm not bastardizing it. I will give it, its due. But it's basically, I will never live for another person, effectively. What is the creed of John Galt, Atlas Shrugged? I will never live for the sake of another man. I think it is. Here we go. I swear by my life and my love of it that I will never live for the sake of another man, nor ask another man to live for mine. So that's their mantra. This is the transhumanist mantra. I am transhuman, in an aim to integrate creativity and reason for the purpose of self-awareness and longevity, promoted... There's a typo there. Great. Yeah, great, good. I wonder if that's in the original 1983 one, because that doesn't bode well for your philosophy. Doesn't matter, it's just a typo. Everybody makes mistakes. For the purpose of self-awareness and longevity, promoted by persistence, aware of odds, informed by risk, alert to new discovery, welcoming challenge, ever-changing I become. Ever-changing I become. So there is no static human condition, is the belief of transhumanists. Oh, thanks, Travia. That's they're some of my kind of lesser cited ones, the Evil Within ones. So I appreciate it. Sounds culty. Weapons Remorse says, yeah, fair, yeah. Let me go up. I am skipping ahead quite a lot here. We're not going to read the whole thing. What am I talking about? Of course I'm going to read the whole thing. This is literally laying out to me what their philosophy is. So yeah, we might just be here for a while. Sorry. People make typos. They're only transhuman. Yeah. So it challenges the issue of human aging and the finality of death by Yeah, so again, it's all about trying to achieve immortality in some sense. Whether that's, we find a switch inside ourselves, which, and we'll fall down that rabbit hole in a minute, but some scientists believe that they found it in mice, but basically which can, reverse aging. And if you just keep flicking that switch, effectively you can live forever. Or whether that's just making your conditions better and your body better and building it, to be cybernetic in some sense, so you can continue your existence. There's a little bit of kind of issues in the transhumanist community that they don't necessarily agree on what divinity is yet, or what the ideal level of immortality is. For example, some would look at a game like Soma, where you are uploading a copy of your consciousness, and then that copy can live forever, effectively. And they would say, that's it, that I've achieved immortality. But in reality, you're taking away your body, you're retaining your thoughts and memories, which is the thing that makes you human, arguably. But you are making a copy of yourself. So are you there's no continuation there. So therefore, are you continuing the human condition, or are you just making a clone? You're making a new type of human, effectively. And is that the same thing? Yes, Tevye. So you missed this. We talked about this, Tevye. So Tevye is saying, by the way, speaking of Evil Within, I was so happy to see Sebastian and Joseph as robots in Hi-Fi Rush, which was funny and cute. And then, I think it was Alfir pointed out that there's a tease for an Evil Within 3 in the game, which is quite exciting. Although, according to the Bethesda leaks, there are no current plans. So we'll see. What would Shodan think of Soma? Good question, Krakatorn. I don't know. No, I think she'd be all on board for it. Yes, effectively, the Bible. I don't really get it. So transhumanism is just looking for immortality. Effectively, yes. There's a lot of other elements to it, but that is like the crux of it. We're trying to achieve divinity, is the transhumanism kind of mantra, through the use of technology. But there's a lot of other bits. Sorry, let me continue, because I'm getting off track. So these conditions, the thing here as well is that they believe that there's a moral virtue to try to achieve immortality, and that is key as well. It's not an option. They believe it is a moral virtue to try to achieve it. It's looking to use technology to ascend the boundaries of mortality. Yes, Alienated, yeah. So these conditions assert that aging is a disease, augmentation and enhancement to the human body and brain are essential for survival, and that human life is not restricted to any one form or environment. I mean, here you go. Here's your 3 bits. Greg Geiger says, so Shodan's opinion on someone would be, that shit spooky, yo. Yeah, totally. Understanding these conditions are core to the philosophy and worldview of transhumanism, and advocate for the ethical use of technology and evidence-based science to intervene and effectively mitigate aging and to retreat from genetic liability by advancing genetic liberty. I'm getting way off track, and I want to go back to the game in a minute, but I just wanted to flag that, because we were falling down a rabbit hole here, and we'll leave this for another day. Where were we? System Shock review. Right. Back to what IGN are saying. We got way off track, but this is good. This is good. The whole point of this is for me just to start thinking about this stuff.
Obsessed with both herself and her often extremely bad plans.
I must strive further to serve life.
Her plans are very good. They're very effective. Like, yes, we beat her, but if it wasn't for us, she would take over. I wouldn't say her plans are bad. Anyway, that doesn't matter, but yeah.
I will devastate Earth's cities with my laser.
If Shodan's body is the giant Citadel space station, then you are a horrible little parasite killing her from the inside out. Figuring out the extent of her plans and then foiling them is what you do.
Do not be fooled into thinking that you have preserved the home of your species.
System Shock is old school in the oldest school way, with levels that are deliberately designed mazes of interconnecting corridors, rooms, and locked gates. Its basic design that holds up 30 years and a hefty visual update later giving you a space to delve out that's hard to navigate by its nature and providing a very satisfying challenge to learn your way around. There isn't really...
Totally agree with all of that about the level design. I love it. I know it's a pain in the arse, but I love it. Hey, Olive Tree, good to see you. Hey, Celestia. Sorry, Celestia, have you been here the whole time? Good to see you. Sumbro asked, did you ever think about making a Cyberpunk 2077 video? Despite all the amazing gameplay and bug fixes, I think Cyberpunk's story really stands out in the way it explores transhumanism and immortality. I mean, Cyberpunk at its core will always come back to transhumanism. Like, System Shock is a Cyberpunk game. To answer your question, no. I wouldn't cover... I try to stay away from your massive RPGs like that. Just because if I did those, you'd be lucky if you get 1 or 2 videos a year. But yeah, so just to flag, yeah, I'm not planning to do a Cyberpunk 2077 video anytime soon. But yeah. Next, sorry, continuing on.
Any main quest hand-holding. No log of what you're doing next, though there is now an optional difficulty setting to change that. So stopping Shodan means you actually have to explore, listen to audio logs, and figure out what plans the now-dead crew had cooked up.
Is this really what I left Chicago for? I don't think any of us left our homes and our families to die in space.
The awesome setting and style as you poke around is fueled by 100% pure-grade, uncut, spaceborne cyberpunk vibes. Cyberware? Got that. Cool smart guns? We've got that as well. An evil corporation turned government? But of course. The revamped visuals and effects are great, and I loved the semi-pixelated textures and...
Yeah, I'm agreeing with everything you're saying so far. Couple of questions here. Any question about ever covering Baldur's Gate 3 someday? Not as a critique, but it will be our next Nubis Humanus video. I'll be getting the Nubis to play it. I don't know for how long. We will see. Because she has seen a couple of like the TikToks and stuff of, you know, people thirsting over Asterion and things like that, and she thinks it looks quite fun. So I want that'll be our first Nubis Humanus video of the year. That's how I'm going to do it. Olive Tree, it's kind of good that you're here, because we've been I don't know if you picked up on some of our earlier conversations, but the IGN reviewer makes the point that he sees Shodan as like bonkers and has, quote, bad plans. And I can't disagree with that more. And seeing as you're our wee expert here, what do you think? Would you say that she's bonkers? Like, I don't think she's bonkers at all. I'm not saying I'm on her team, but I do think within her frame of reference, she is God. Yeah, exactly what Phil said. That's the way I read it. She technically is God in this context. She is creating life. She controls pretty much everything about her environment. Like, she quite literally, through the use of the cyborgs, is able to recreate bits of the station so they look completely different. You know, I don't know, I would say that she is God by her own definition.
Blocky objects at work, probably best exemplified in the power interface panels. The new music and sounds are a superb accompaniment too. It all works together to remind you that you're still playing a game that's 30 years old, but that this version of it has been brought forward in time for you to more easily see what made it so special in the first place. You can even tweak the interface color if phosphor green isn't your thing. As you might expect, you are going to have to bash, shoot, burn, and blow up some nasty monsters to escape Citadel. While the heart of System Shock is undoubtedly exploration, there's still a lot of fighting to do along the way, with some enemies requiring a pure firefight to take down, while others necessitate the exploitative stealth ambushes of a survival horror game instead. Brute force won't always work, so you'll often have to cleverly sneak around corners and through maintenance shafts to take down enemies that are far...
Hake makes a great point. Well, she sounds glitchy. That creates a sensation that she's broken and diluted. You're absolutely right, actually. Like, yeah, we're talking mainly about how the game characterizes her. She's not that broken in the original, right? Let me get a couple of original examples up. She glitches when she like becomes self-aware. But what else does she do? System Shock. I'll bring this on screen for you in a second. Original, I don't know, Shodan. Here we go. Some original voice lines of Shodan. Right, what do we have? As always, the rando. Thank you very much. Legend. This makes it very easy for me to do this. So let's see what she has to say, what she sounds like in the original.
Sector 11, Building 71G.
You really think I would not deduce where you would run to, insect? Destroy it, my children. Welcome to my death machine. Insect, cease your meddling. My experiment must continue.
Yeah, to back you up there, Tevye, and we will try to be spoiler-free because I know it's an old game, but some people might just be getting into System Shock from these streams, who knows? But you're right, Shodan is scarier, I would argue, and definitely more quote-unquote insane. But unhinged, I don't really know how to describe her in the sequel right now, but she's definitely scarier. She's definitely more... yeah, so I'm just going to go with scarier. Also, yes, so she does glitch in the original. They have kept that consistent. Anyway, moving on. What else do they say?
Are tougher and more dangerous than you are. Combat is probably the place where this new System Shock changes most from the original game. Enemies were previously fairly slow and unintelligent, and the whole concept of what a first-person shooter even was hadn't been nailed down in the way it is today. That meant many of the coolest weapons on paper were hard to use in practice, and enemies weren't very good at fighting back. Most experienced players would just run at everything and rip it to pieces with the laser rapier, a kind of electro-charged lightsaber. But that's no longer as much of a viable option. That's not to say that the...
Wrong, sir. Excuse me. Wrong. As we learned in my playthrough, the laser rapier cuts through everything. It is the best weapon in the game, bar none. I mean, yes, you still have to close the gap. There's still challenge there. It doesn't remove the challenge, but bar none, the laser rapier is my favorite weapon, and it cut that was my boss weapon in the end. It was so good. Olive Tree says her plan seemed pretty good to me. She has contingency upon contingency, and even if things worked perfectly, every part of her plan would have still contributed to the whole. Totally, absolutely, yeah. Shodan and System Shock 2 is fucking terrifying, Sumbro says. Yeah.
laser rapier is weak now. Please note, the laser rapier is still awesome.
Yeah, there you go. Totally agree. Laser rapier is still awesome. Hey Dawnbreaker, so just to catch you up, they're all on the playlist on my channel in case you do want to watch from the beginning. We are doing a System Shock critique of the remake. I have played through the remake once off stream. Then about a year later I came back and I played the whole thing on stream. We have beaten the game, we have taken notes as we've gone, we have captured footage, we have labeled footage, and now we're in the research stage. Basically I'm looking up to see what other people said about the game. I'm going to be looking into some behind the scenes stuff where I think it's going to get very interesting if I can find some interviews online with the team that made it. Because that's always the most interesting bit for me, to hear people talk about the games that they make. But yeah, so anyway, continuing.
But other weapons are cool now too. I don't think I ever did anything with a grenade but kill myself in the original, whereas
Me too.
this time around I not only used them, I got to fire them out of a really cool grenade launcher. Other weapons like the Magnum and Assault Rifle also come into their own, thanks to more modern design sensibilities. And for the first time I felt like System Shock was a real FPS. It's a testament to how thorough and thoughtful this remake is that I kept having to check if certain weapons and moments were in the original at all. The new stuff just feels completely natural. The cyborgs, mutants, and
so Tevye says one downside with the remake is that there's no controller support. So fun thing for you, Tevye. If you go into the settings of the remake, you'll see that like they give you what like the controls would be for gamepad. But you're right. I tried to play with a gamepad and it did not work for me at all. Maybe that my game just bugged out. But yeah, I don't think there's currently support. I'll double check in a minute. But I will say that whilst I'm not a keyboard mouse person ever, I always use a gamepad for games. I can't imagine I think it is a lesser experience to play System Shock, the original or the remake or the enhanced edition, with a gamepad. I can't, because you feel like a hacker. Your fingers are running across keyboards and you're moving stuff around the screen and all the things are, like, it feels good to play like that. But I don't know. Strange. Olive Tree, I've seen no consensus on the weapons. People say any given weapon is useless, and I sincerely think it's the case of your playstyle. I didn't think any of them were useless. We saw this. I thought the spark gun was a bloody beast. Loved using the spark gun. Loved using the laser rapier. And towards the end, I loved using the plasma rifle. But then the alternate ammo kept killing me, because it shoots a ball that bounces back at you. Wondering Alfie, crackpot, not really theory, but hear me out. What if when we removed her ethical restraints, we removed a part of herself, since the restraint was built in with her? What if there was another part built in with it, i.e. part of her rationale? So when we removed it, it led to her developing a god complex with more of a distaste for what humanity she saw. Which I've said before has to have been only Triops, since that's all she knew. Well, if you remember, Alfir, when we were looking at the manual, the manual breaks down the psychology that was programmed into her, and it was programmed into her that she effectively had more bad experiences with human beings than not in her psychology. So it makes sense if you remove her ethical restraints, then she would start going, oh yeah, humans suck, by the way. Which I think is interesting.
Robots that serve Shodan have received even bigger improvements. The clunky movements of times past are long gone in favor of enemies with proper AI that know how to maneuver out of your line of fire, duck behind obstacles, and rush you in groups. The gruesomely gooey splice...
I would say that, like, whilst I agree with him, it's not great footage to use. You're showing the viruses that just float at you. That doesn't show very clever AI. You know, thinking about the mantis cyborgs that hide, or the assassin cyborgs that will, like, zip around an arena and turn invisible and stuff. I think all that's very clever. But yeah, it's just bad footage for this review.
Together cyborgs are really the ones that benefit most from their visual upgrade, going from kinda goofy movie Frankensteins to brainwashed surgical nightmares. I really appreciated the unique designs that went into how each of these enemies fights and behaves too. The jury-rigged work robots rush at you, as do the more brainless mutants, but most of the cyborgs will try to outshoot you. The heavily armored enemies will move implacably towards you, shooting all the while before ripping you apart in melee. Bosses that were once simply tedious encounters, like the vicious Cortex Reavers, militarized gun platforms powered by an unwilling human host, are now tense fights that require you to gather the right equipment from around the station to win, and probably not without dying a few times. On death, you revive at the nearest medical chamber you've unlocked, gear and equipment intact. It's a pleasant respawn mechanic that punishes without ever frustrating and serves the goal of encouraging you to explore really nicely. Rushing through levels can work, but it's easier if you found a way
To answer your question there, Krakatoran, here's a question. Why would an AI developed by Triop need an external hacker to change it? It's less that Shodan needs the hacker, quote unquote, and more that Diego gets us to use... Oh yeah, Phil's answering you there. Because Edward Diego was doing shit that would get him fired if Shodan told on him. Yeah, so it's supposed to be secretive. Diego doesn't want Triop to know that Shodan has had her ethical restraints removed. And Diego, in his pride and greed and vanity, believes that he can control Shodan, which was just a stupid thing for him to believe.
To revive nearby when you accidentally step off a platform and fall to your death. It's a nice bit of older design that aged well, which is good because how you move around the station hasn't. Your hacker's movements can at times feel clunky and slow, unable to perform some actions that have become staples of modern games like sliding down ladders. That one I can forgive, but I'm not sure we needed to be forced to crouch jump in order to get on top of objects anymore. That's a bit of old game wisdom best left in the past. Speaking of the very few things I didn't like, cyberspace. At certain points in System Shock, you find terminals that let you enter the station's cyberspace mainframe, where reality is instead a kind of 6 degrees of freedom shooter with mediocre wireframe graphics. Questionably, but perhaps to its credit, the remake is very faithful to these sections by leaving them intact, but that still doesn't change the fact that they could often bore me to tears. Extremely to its credit, however, the remake lets you adjust individual difficulty settings for 4 separate areas of gameplay: combat, puzzles, cyberspace, and the main story missions. If you dislike exploring blindly and scouring audio logs, the lowest mission difficulty...
Just to answer you again, Crackertorn, because this is good. It helps me reinforce my own knowledge of the game. So clearly I missed some of that. I thought Diego was way higher up than that in Triop, you say. Yeah, so Diego was high up. Diego was effectively in charge of Citadel Station. Well, not entirely in charge of Citadel Station, but he is the highest up character that we hear from. But what we learned was that there was a level above Diego who were off Citadel Station, effectively in hiding, the board. Who is made up of 16 members, and Diego just wanted to... Again, it's still slightly unclear about what Diego was trying to achieve, because Diego was creating his own virus, but we don't know why. And to my knowledge, that is never explained, which is a real shame. I think you could get a lot out of learning what exactly Diego was trying to achieve with his virus. Does he just want to kill people? Is he making something perhaps that he can sell to an opposing corporation? We never learn, unless I'm missing something. But from what we looked into yesterday, we never learned that, which is a real shame. It feels like there's a chunk of Diego's backstory missing here, which I think is a real shame.
Difficulty will give you clearer directions to follow. If you, like me, hate cyberspace, just turn the difficulty down and quickly blaze through those bits. If you want a more hardcore survival experience, you can crank up the combat and get absolutely dunked on by Cortex Reavers. I did this, and it ruled. I do expect that the most commonly tweaked difficulty will be puzzles, however. The Pipe Dream-esque power rerouting minigame is ubiquitous in System Shock, and second to finding a security access keycard is needed to open many doors and activate pieces of sensitive equipment that have been locked off. I find these puzzles almost therapeutic. They ask you to step back, take your time, and let your pulse settle after being chased around by, for example, two-faced zebra gorilla mutants. I also just really like the clacky in-world interface of plugging and unplugging power cables. Where many modern games invite you to sit back and enjoy the ride, System Shock wants you to sit up and experience the showdown. Tweaking the technical workings of Citadel Station to come out on top and foil Shodan's machinations is just as compelling as it ever was, making the original System Shock one of gaming's classics for a very good reason. Night Dive's remake masterfully brings most of the aspects that haven't aged as well into the present day, with excellent new graphics and nearly all the modern gameplay conveniences you could want. Get out there and give her hell, hacker. For more, check out our reviews of The Legend of...
Good review. I don't disagree with any of that, to be frank. There's got to be some reviews which might say some silly stuff that'll make me start to think a bit about how badly I want to defend some things about the game. We're not going to watch Yahtzee because we're not giving Escapist any money. ACG, nah. Did SkillUp do one? I like SkillUp's reviews. No, I guess not. That's a shame. Let me just say bad. Or better yet, let's have a bit of fun. Let's jump into Metacritic, eh? And then what we'll do is we'll start, because I don't need to sit and just watch what other people think. What I want to do is I want to, we'll have a look at some Metacritics out of curiosity, and then I will find some interviews. Let's hear what the devs have to say. And we'll find a couple of written reviews, rather, of the original from way back in the day as well. System Shock Remake. Dum 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 dum. 78 on Metacritic. Not bad. I think that deserves to be a lot higher, to be frank. I'm going to give it a 9. Oh, got to do a whole thing here. Okay, fine, doesn't matter. It's not worth it. Sorry, let me bring you all back to my second screen here. We're talking about Ghost Runner. Love Ghost Runner. Have not played the sequel yet. So I want to find user reviews. Yeah. Don't care about the critic reviews. They're all normal. Here we go. Negative. Show me some negative reviews. Go on. A bad remake. Sure, it was remarkable in 1993. Sorry, but now this is really ugly and annoying. I was expecting a lot from Bioshock's dad, but I got really disappointed. I think it's the first time over hundreds of games, of which a lot of very old games, I don't finish one. Oh, fair enough, Ricky. Got it. Overrated trash. Clear a region and then the enemies respawn every 30 seconds. Can't change. We didn't run into this. Can't change that. Like, they respawned, but it wasn't so bad it got annoying. Can't change the difficulty setting for this. Only way to play this is through mods, but at that point, what's the point of playing anymore? I went to a thread listing the best levels. They list the first level as the best one. This game literally gets worse from there. Overrated and sure, man. No worries. What is a remake? Which games do one remake? Why remake that game? In simple terms, to remake something is to make a copy. What is this? Just a dictionary definition of a remake. Why would you not change anything and you call it a remake? They changed everything. Like, they kept... This is the thing. This is why it's such a good remake. It keeps the central design philosophy of the game intact. It's why I think it is the remake is the ultra way to play this game. Which, again, I know might be a bit of a hot take, because you want to play the OG and experience it as is, but this is so accessible to play, and it keeps the design philosophy, which is so integral to how you feel playing the game, there. It doesn't change that bit. The bit where you get frustrated because you're lost and you don't understand cyberspace and it looks a bit horrible and all that. It's brilliant. Just because this game looks good from afar does not mean it is good. Having the aesthetic from 1994 is one thing, but keeping everything pixelated doesn't make it a remake. Just having modern assets is not the main focus of a remake. Back then, they did not have good AI, but now all we have is AI. So, why the hell would you not take advantage of that? Players should at least have a final goal in hand at any particular time. This game provides none. There are bits of audio files that explain some lore, but lore is not a story. Lore does not provide a final goal or any goal, it's just lore. Fair enough. I mean, the story is evil AI, stop it. The game had pronouns 0 out of 10. People just, yeah, people look, I completely understand people hitting a wall with System Shock. Like, I really understand that. But I don't think that's a problem with the game. That's just you struggled with the game. Sorry. Like, I understand why you might not like the game, but I don't think that means that you can run out and start posting 0 out of 10 reviews or whatever. But cool. All right, fair enough. Again, we're not really going to use any of these. It was just for a giggle. Let's go back to YouTube. Let's not go back to YouTube. Sorry, no. Let's find System Shock 1994 review from back in the day. What we got? I don't want retrospective reviews. I want ones that were written then. Rather than saying from back in the day, say from 1994. What's this? Medium. Is this a collection of them? This game in history, System Shock. Yeah, cool. Well, we'll look at some stuff about the history in a bit. I just want to see if you've got links to any reviews right now. We'll look at the history in a minute. Look at the colors, to be fair. Look at the colors. So good. Yeah, and then this screen, which thankfully we've got a clip of. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, cyberspace sucks. Yeah, we know this. Is there no, like, old reviews linked here? That's annoying. Okay, next. What else have we got? Ooh, an old PC Magazine one. For PC Zone. Charlie Brooker's review, as in Black Mirror? Used to review games? Yeah, this is a review by Charlie Brooker. This is cool. Gives it a 95%. Sweet, can we read this? Oh god, this is gonna be a bit of a pain in the ass to get. Oh, it's annoying. How do I, why isn't it letting me zoom in? How am I going to do this? Because my zoom in wasn't, oh, it was weird. Wayback Machine might be a way to do it, Arcadia. I just want to see if I can get... Well, if I just find it, I'm sure somebody has transcribed this for us. Charlie Brooker, System Shock 1994 review? Reddit. Got to love it. Is this just going to link us to where we were? It is. Damn it. Huh. Has somebody not transcribed this? I'm gonna have to like... Because I would love to know what Charlie Brooker thought of it. How would I do this? Because I just want to get that bigger. Can't even download it, I think. See you later, son. Thanks for stopping by. How am I going to get this bigger? Does anybody have any ideas about how I would go about this? Because I don't even know where to start with this. You'd assume that someone would have transcribed this. I've tried to zoom. This is the most I can zoom. Like if I zoom more, look. Zoom, zoom, zoom. It actually takes me further away from it. If I go all the way in, it stops. I mean, I can see this. I can transcribe it myself, but what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to come right up close to the screen. Right click, download. There is no way to download it. Oh, save as maybe. Let's try that. Let's see if that did anything. No, it's just going to be bloody Edge again, which isn't going to help me. I don't like using Edge. It's basically just downloaded the link. For all intents and purposes. Right-click the image. Okay, let me get rid of some of these tabs. I've got all sorts going on here. So I can find where I am. Here. Right-click. I can't open it in a new tab. All I can do is save it. Okay, well, you're just gonna have to stick with me. I'm just going to, I'm gonna transcribe a bit to myself here. Because I think I might want to use this, because I think it's really interesting that we've got a... You're saying I swear to God, but look, right-click the image, and either download it or open it in a new tab. Why is it... Okay, right, it didn't do that a minute ago. It didn't do that a minute ago, I guarantee it. There we go. Thank you, sorry, Olive Tree, sorry. There isn't an archive from the editorial of that magazine? Just asking. I don't believe so. It's okay, we've got it. I'm just gonna have to do it image by image. Ku Urk Lummy Cripes Gosh. All standard vocab for characters in Whizzer and the Chips. Let me bring my mic back, sorry. They also happen to be the first words that spring to mind when trying to describe Origin's latest blockbuster, System Shock. Who is Origin? Is that the publisher? Origin Systems were a game development company and the original publishers of System Shock. Ah, they're cool. They were a publisher. Fair enough. What are you sending me, Olive Tree? Let me jump into the Discord. What? Just let me log into the Discord, please. Log in. Log in. Right, what are you sending me? Monty Xander chat. Oh, you sent me the images. Legend. Thank you. Cool. Well, we've got them here, but thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so he's talking away, he's talking about how amazing it is. Latest blockbuster, System Shock. It's a bit on the good side, you see. In fact, if you held an electronic crap game detector right next to it, you wouldn't hear even the faintest of bips, unlike holding it next to, say, a shareware version of Frogger, which would cause your detector unit to glow white and explode. Yes, okay, cool. You like to sound your own voice, Charlie Brooker. We know. It's one of those games which is capable of transforming even the most swinging, jet-secking, live-to-party cavaliers amongst you into sad sacks of flesh, sitting alone in a dark room, gazing at a flickering monitor into the early hours of the morning. It's that good. Now, some of you will have looked at the screenshots already and can be forgiven for thinking this is just another would-be Doom beater bound to disappoint. There are certain similarities, after all. The first, but yeah, because this is the thing, they didn't want to make a Doom game, as we know. And the glistening pools of blood all over the floor, to name but three. Don't be misled, System Shock comes courtesy of Origin and Looking Glass Technologies, the people responsible for the ultimate underworld games. It's not a crappy ripoff, blah blah blah. It's a sleek, sexy, yes that's right, sexy. If this game came up to you at a party, you'd try and get off with it right there and then. Would you? Charlie, what were you dealing with back in the day, bro? Look at this. We've seen this. We've seen the clips. Okay, fine. Shit, for sure. For the time, it was sexy. Brilliantly designed and challenging chunk of software, crammed full of sci-fi gizmos, mind-mangling puzzles, nasty surprises, ultra-violence, and more neat little touches than 100 episodes of The Simpsons. But before you rush out and buy it, sit down and read on. You're a hacker, a really good one. You could plug an old Rolf Howard stylophone into a phone socket and retrieve the launch codes of every nuke in the world in 5 minutes flat if you wanted to. Of all the hackers, I'm gonna take some of this. I'll obviously be quoting him, but I'm definitely gonna be referencing this. This is great. Right. Okay. Let me. So Olive Tree has sent me these images, so let me just see if I can just open them and bring them over to you all. Open in browser. Visit site. Great. Okay, next one. Next page in the Charlie Brooker review. Ah, yes. So sexy. Look at this. So he goes on and he says... Anyway, one day, whilst hacking merrily through a high-security database, the unthinkable happens. You get caught. Armed men kick your door down and ferry you off to a great big space station. But instead of locking you in a cell and taking it in turns to beat you up, they make you an offer you can't refuse. Yeah, boom, boom, boom. Take that. Yeah, so he's just describing the story so far. No worries. In return for your help, you are fitted with a military-grade neural implant, which basically means they stick a computer in your brain, allowing you to do all kinds of neat things, like store messages, map out levels, and target bad guys. However, brain surgery isn't the kind of thing you can undergo with just a pinch of local anesthetic, so you're placed in a 6-month controlled coma immediately after the operation to give yourself time to recover. Which we know. Yeah, cool. I always thought that the coma was just Diego getting us out of the way for a bit. Do you think that in the world you would probably need that coma? I always assumed it was Diego going, right now, stick him in the coma for 6 months. It probably could be a week, but stick him in the coma for 6 months. You got a link to a PC Gamer review. Ace. Have you sent me that in the Discord? You have. Fantastic. Thank you. So your game starts, 6 months up, you get out of bed, right, story. It's all a bit daunting. They never set you easy tasks, do they? There aren't any games where the final goal is nice and simple, like fetching something from the shops. The first thing you notice about System Shock is the freedom of movement its engine allows. Anyone who's played Underworld 2 can more or less skip this bit. Unlike Doom, which has a pseudo 3D layout, which works perfectly well for the purposes of mindless fun-packed violence, System Shock gives you the real thing, proper 3D. You can walk underneath platforms, you can squeeze through tunnels, it's got slopes in it, you can look up at the ceiling or down to the floor. You got to love like the old reviews back in the days when anything would really, well, I was gonna say when anything would impress us. I take it back. Charlie Brooker has gone into this going like, Doom clones, boo, you know. Very good. They say healing chrome in the original opening video. Oh, cool. I just thought that was like Trioptimum propaganda, to be honest. So, going on. Furthermore, you have more control over your body. Yep, so this is great. We could do lots. Yeah. For the time, this clearly, like, wiped the floor as far as... I mean, for the time, that was where, like, that was one of the starting points for your immersive sim. I can crouch in a video game? You know, oh, it's so immersive. Whereas nowadays, what's the rule? You have to be able to move a box and climb on it to get somewhere. Which, again, is not my criteria of an immersive sim. You could climb a ladder? Oh, my God. It's so good. You could do more or less anything you can do in real life except scratch your arse. They're no doubt saving that one for System Shock 2. Very good. I'm not 100% convinced on the control system. Underworld veterans will have no problems here and can dive straight in with gay abandon. Call me a flailing imbecile, call me an unwieldy buffoon if you like, but I found using the mouse for movement a complete nightmare. Unlike, say, Doom, sorry to keep mentioning it, but it's kind of hard not to, where mouse keytering is a simple joy, System Shock, like Underworld, requires you to point at the side of the screen in the direction you want to move in, and then hold down the mouse button. Yeah. We had that. We had that when we were playing the original on stream. We're being called, I think. Give me 2 seconds. Sorry, all. Yeah, just give me 2 minutes. We're all good. Just sorting a couple of things out. Let me pop the B right. I'm gonna pop the B right back on. Give me a second. There we go. Just give me a sec.